Hey everyone, and welcome to r/PettyRevenge. Just like ProRevenge, but on a smaller scale. This is the place for all those small victories that might not be life-shattering, but sure are satisfying. Now, I've got some good ones lined up for you today, so let's not waste another second and get straight into this first one by user/Btree. So, this happened 30 plus years ago in North Texas. I'm obviously an old dude and have never posted here before, so give me a break on all the usual stuff. The cast are me, a 19-year-old, group, the group I was with, and D, an awesome dude I knew. I'd recently flunked out of a small liberal arts college in way North Texas, and had to move in with my dad, a complete redneck, and my stepmother, everything that the title implies, who lived in a super small town about 30 minutes from the school I flunked out of. Needless to say, not the best time of my life. My old man was convinced that my friends at school were the problem. Not true, the problem was me, weed, hallucinogens, guitar, the Grateful Dead, and my friends. Dad wanted me to cultivate a new set of friends. So he got with a buddy of his who hooked me up with his grandson, who was a good kid and was about my age to go out. We made plans to do something on the weekend, and needless to say, it went awry. Grandson was an okay guy, but a total redneck. This matters. He was going out with some total redneck frat kids he knew, and a couple of girls. And now, add one weirdo to the mix. I knew the gig, they wanted to get messed up and screw the girls. To be fair, at 19, that's about all I wanted to do as well. They decided to go to a club 30 or 45 minutes away, and we jumped in the car and headed out. They were all looking at me kinda side-eyed. Redneck kids meet a redneck hippie, and started talking about fake IDs and getting into this club. I didn't have a fake ID, and all of a sudden became the idiot who was ruining their awesome night out going to some trashy club. A 30 or 40 minute drive through the dark in the middle of nowhere in Texas, with them talking trash and the girls giggling. I told them I didn't think it would be an issue. Probably not true, but screw 'em. They were convinced that I'd effed up their whole night out and weren't shy about me being a drag. So we all made a plan. We would all line up for ID check and pay the cover with me up front. If I got in, great. They'd follow me in. If I didn't get in, I sucked and ruined everything they tried so hard all their lives to accomplish. We lined up, and all the while, the group is talking about this scary black guy who looks mean checking IDs. They're concerned. Great. Now I'm dealing with small town racism. I look up, and at the door checking IDs, D, a friend from college. Here's the win. D is about 6'4", muscled up, very sweet, and to the shock of the group, very black. D hollers my name, gives me a big hug, and tells me to go on without paying a cover or checking my ID. I thanked him and got inside the bar to get my drinks before they figure out I'm underage. About the time I ordered my second beer, my buddy D comes up behind me, apologizes, and says my friends all had fake IDs and they didn't get in. I said, "Oh hell D, not your fault, I'm sorry we bothered you." He told me it wasn't a big deal and to go ahead and finish my beer. He'd make sure they waited for me till I got done. I did just that. When I got back out, the group was pretty quiet. We drove to Deep Ellum and drank coffee, which was more my speed anyway. I still think about this revenge occasionally some 30 odd years later, and I still laugh. Yeah, look, karma got these guys pretty damn hard. So lucky you knew that security guard. Though this story had me doubting from the very beginning, finding a good influence in a small town can be hard work. I was suspicious of these friends from the get-go, and yeah, maybe they're not someone you really want to hang around. And here's our next post by user/RestlessBface. The year was 2006. I was a young dumb girl that had gone and gotten myself married to someone completely wrong for me. He refused to work, and as a result of financial difficulties of both of us being in school and only me working, we found us living with his mum. Let me tell you, that is every newlywed's dream. Over the course of us living with her, anytime I would buy myself a food treat, mother-in-law would eat it. Didn't matter what it was or where I hid it. She was a bloodhound for sniffing out things that I bought just for me. The final straw was one night we'd gone out to dinner at the Cheesecake Factory. I'd taken my slice to go and put it in the fridge. I was going to have it after work the next day. Next day at work is absolutely terrible, and the only thing getting me through my shift is the slice of cheesecake I know is in the fridge. I go home and pop the lid off the container, and it doesn't look right. There are fork marks all around the outside perimeter of my cheesecake, like she could just sneak off some all around and I wouldn't notice. I was mad. I went and handed it to her and told her she may as well eat the rest of it. Fast forward a few days and I'm at the pet store picking up some dog food. I'm standing in line waiting to check out, and they have these little boxes of dog treats that look like the little red boxes of animal crackers you can buy for little kids. Now, it very clearly says on the front, circus animals for dogs. About this time, I've got the little devil sitting on my shoulder, whispering in my ear, "Do it." And then the angel pops onto my other shoulder and screams, "Effing do it." So they magically end up with the stuff I'm buying. I drive home and leave everything in a bag all together on the kitchen counter. Several hours later, she comes into our room and says, "I think there's something wrong with those animal crackers. They were the most awful ones I've ever eaten. I had to eat a whole thing of frosting with them just to finish them." All I said was, "Huh?" and shrugged my shoulders. Wow, that takes commitment, finishing a whole pack of dog treats. I mean, OP, you really should have told her that that was a pack of dog treats. Animal crackers? Oh, you mean the dog treats I bought? That would have been pretty funny. Also, for those of you out there who need to steal a bit of cake off someone else, you don't just go in with a fork. You grab a nice, clean knife designed specifically for the purpose and take off a thin slice off the edge. Make sure to clean up the crumbs, clean down the knife, make sure there is no evidence you were ever near that cake. And hopefully the person does not notice. Maybe I shouldn't be sharing my cake eating secrets, but it's too late for that now. And here's our next post by user/Skyfly Thai Food. To make a long story short, I have the most annoying neighbours in all of England. One in particular has a son who runs rampant and spends hours in his back garden, fits joined to ours, screaming at the top of his lungs or peeking over the fence and shouting at us while his mother tells him off. Not for screaming or his other antisocial behaviours. No, just because she's a horrible mother. I feel a little bad for the kid. And she happens to have the most grating voice in the world. This goes on from 11 AM to 9 PM, so I can't put in a noise complaint. But the most annoying thing is the hours of horrendous music. Now, we're not talking just regular, objectively bad music. Don't be silly. It's honest to goodness EDM traffic noise, or whatever has the highest usage of the N-word. She's a white woman, by the way. That she'll shout at the top of her lungs so that you know she's an open racist. Today, I'd had enough, so I found the loudest speaker in my house, dragged it outside, placed it against her fence, and played some music for 2 hours straight, as loud as possible. And anytime one of them screamed or shouted, I would scream back just as loud. Needless to say, she went inside after the second hour, and hopefully will be more considerate in future. Ah yes, the old noise trick. I've seen a few of those in my time, and it just seems like the easiest way to deal with people. Standard replies, "Oh, we're not being that loud." Yes, you are, guys. Here is a taste of your own medicine. And here's the next post by user/UmbraJoke. Today was ball toss, and between my car's AC not working and my body's habit of sweating puddles in anything over 70 degrees, my mood was already a bit thin. I was picking up some items from Home Depot and parked halfway in a quarter-full parking lot. Plenty of open spaces around. I haven't gone to the store much in the past few months, so while I was trying to remember the PPE order of operations, I absent-mindedly let my keys slip from my lap to the cup holder. I'm all kitted up and go get my stuff from the lockers and head back to my car. I start patting my pockets and feel that little ball of fear rolling around the pit of my stomach. I started walking faster, and as I get to my car, I see my keys in the cup holder. I'm standing there, staring through the window, while sweating buckets from a 3-minute walk. I'm annoyed, but I contact roadside and get a truck dispatched quickly. As I'm leaning against the front of my car, a van comes down the lane on the opposite row and pulls into the spot right in front of my car. As the driver starts pulling closer to my legs, I shout, "Hold it," and put my hand out. She stops the van about 1.5 feet from me and looks annoyed, like hitting me would have inconvenienced her plans for the day. I look around at the 9 other open spots all next to or behind her in the same area and gesture towards them. She gestures at me and mouths, "Why?" I guess she was asking me why I'm just standing there despite it not being any of her damn business, and say I'm locked out of my car. She sits in the car for another 5 minutes, just adding to the heat around me while I mess around on my phone. Eventually, she gets out, scowls at me, and goes inside. About 20 minutes after she went in, my tow truck shows up, but it's on the lane opposite me. I was feeling a bit petty, so I stopped the guy right behind the van, not thinking anything would come of it. Well, right as he goes to get the tools, van lady comes out the store. She was lividly muttering to herself as she gets in her car and turns it on. I explain the basics of the situation, and he looks around at all the other still open spots in sheer confusion, when a poo-eating grin comes across his face. He starts opening the door, taking a few extra minutes to make sure he does it right. And then he has me sit in his air-conditioned cab while he fills out an order form because his phone was acting up. The dude probably took an extra 10 minutes to do his job while van lady is stewing in her annoyance. I appreciated the solidarity and threw him a few bucks for his service. He then made sure I got to leave first before rolling out. Dear tow truck guy, you rock. And maybe this lady in future won't be so keen to park right next to someone. That's just one thing I don't get. I feel like I actively avoid parking next to people when I'm on a parking lot. Like, I'll go out my way and walk the extra distance just so I don't have to park near anyone. And here's our next post by user/alfalfafloozy. Some background, I'm an American that was born and raised in the South. It's an obvious dialect. Also, English is a second language for most people here. Language barriers are not uncommon. All of this comes into the revenge. Years ago, I worked in a call center. It was a large company with English and Spanish departments. I worked in the English department, but sat next to our Spanish department. I handled billing. No one calls billing in a good mood, but in general, they're angry with the company and not the rep. You calm them down, fix the issue, and you're off to the next call. Few customers are memorable, but this one I will never forget and still laugh about. This call happened on a busy day with long wait times. This just made the revenge sweeter. The call went like this. Thank you for calling blah blah blah. I want an American on the phone. What? I said I want an American on the phone. Mom, I'm an American. I want an American on the phone. At this point, I can only assume I'm not speaking the right language. Un momento, per favor. I put her on hold, transfer over to the Spanish line, and just giggled to myself. But it didn't end there. The lines were starting to calm down, and I was chatting with one of the Spanish reps when his desk mate pops up and says she's got a psycho on the phone. It was the woman I had transferred. She was going ballistic. The Spanish rep had her on mute while talking to us. I apologized and told her what happened. She started laughing, then looks right at me and said, I'm going to put her back in the Spanish queue. The Spanish department had a blast laughing at this crazy bee, as they kept putting her back in the queue. I don't know if she ever got her issue fixed. Then again, we never found out what the issue was either. She was too busy yelling at everyone. Moral of the story, be nice to phone reps. Yep, we do forget how much power these people hold. If you need a question answer, they are literally your only point of contact. You better be nice to those people. And here's our next post by user/yellowjacket81. I used to work for a union shipping company. I was the guy who sorted the packages into which delivery truck they got loaded on. It was a decent gig for an 18-year-old, but it's still basically grunt work. Managers weren't union, obviously, so they were the devil. There was this one manager, Greg, who all the union boys hated because he'd constantly short us time on our breaks and complain that we didn't work fast or efficient enough. It got so bad that we started timing everything to ensure we were in compliance. No matter how often we could prove we were in compliance with timings, Greg just wouldn't stop making a nuisance of himself. Well, I was just a young kid grunt on the preload, but I soon realised I had more power than anybody knew. See, several months earlier, the union reached out for volunteers for a store union safety officer. Nobody wanted the role because it's basically a load of extra work with very little extra pay. However, I thought it sounded cool. I was naive at 18. So I took the role, and did nothing with it. Because I'm lazy, and who even cares? I did nothing with it. Until Greg started being a little jerk all the time. Turns out that a lot of the things Greg wanted to do, whether timing related or just any old thing, would conflict with the safety regulations put in place to protect the union workers. And, as the union safety officer, the responsibility to write up those violations fell to me. Ladies and gents, you best believe I studied every obscure safety guideline the company or union had and targeted Greg specifically to comply with them. Want to climb on the moving belt to get the stuck box? Sorry Greg, that requires a full electrical shutdown for safety. Gonna have to file a complaint. Greg, why aren't you wearing your hard hat when you climb the ladder to the upper storage? Have to document that. Greg, those packages are in excess of 50 pounds. You know darn well you need to get 2 people to lift them into the truck. Union needs to know. As hard as grown man Greg flexed, my 18-year-old punk kid butt flexed back harder. After doing virtually nothing safety related for several months, I filed over 20 safety violations over the course of 14 days. Most of them on Greg. And where Greg could only yell and give verbal reprimands for the things we think we were cheating on. Literally every safety violation I filed came back to the head office for review per the terms of our union contract. Greg moved on and the beloved Sheila took his place. I can't honestly say whether I was directly responsible, but I like to tell myself I had something to do with it. And the union boys bought my underage bum beer for some time to follow. Yeah, sounds like a pretty good gig. You were following the rules exactly. This is a great example of malicious compliance. Hey, you were just doing your job. And I would indeed like to think that you did play a part in Greg's mysterious disappearance. And guys, I think this post will be the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos 3 times every single week. There have been a few extra videos coming up lately. I've got time, hopefully you're enjoying them, but regular upload schedule is still Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.